All right, boys. So we've talked all of your guys' England France predictions, and I can't say I disagree. I think France will win this one. You guys know I'm the biggest England guy when it comes to my boys on the team. Love Hendo to see him bag a goal the World Cup. You know I wanted to inject that into the Liverpool veins, but um, I just don't think they'll get past France. I want them to. I know I hate the English media as well. Don't get me wrong. Talk Sport needs to be bankrupt immediately. Good God. Good God. Good God. Roy Keane today, horrible. Pissed me off.
Dude, you guys are, oh my God.
Yeah.
You all know what he's talking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
No, you gotta fill me
He
in.
literally said that he thought that the dancing was disrespectful
Yeah. Yeah.
from Brazil,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
dancing from Brazilian players.
Roy Keane, the same guy who ended someone's career and then stomped on someone's chest, is telling me that dancing is disrespectful. Roy Keane and Graham Souness are the two worst things to ever happen to football media.
Agreed.
Graham Souness, I don't know if you guys know about the meme about him and Pogba, but it's absolutely
Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
Screw that guy. And he's a Liverpool guy too. I hope he's having a horrible day. But anyway, back to my prediction. I do think it'll be closer than you guys expect, though. I think France wins 3-2, but that's just me like wanting a good game. But I still think, dude, I mean, we've been talking about it in the chat. There's who's better than Mbappe right now in the world. It's hard to say. Maybe that Norwegian robot, if he was here, he'd have a say, but honestly, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mbappe's clear. The way this guy moves across the pitch, it's almost unfair. There's hasn't been a defender that I've seen been able to truly, pocket him. And what a player. I think France wins this one. And imagine the scenes if we see a France versus Portugal semifinal. I mean, that's big. That's big time. I'd love to see that Euro 2016 rematch, but this time they won't have the GOAT super sub Ed there. But
Oh God.
but
Speaking of goats,
Wait.
how cool would that be potentially for Mbappe to win a World Cup where he beats Cristiano Ronaldo? I don't age, put it aside. Beats Cristiano Ronaldo in the semifinals and beats Lionel Messi in the final.
I think that would be a huge legacy. No way.
No way.
Has the Eder jersey.
Was that a post Euros purchase, or did you have
Of course,
that before?
of course it was.
Okay.
Yeah, he had our jersey all along.
Eder jersey is crazy work. All right, boys. Our next quarterfinal, we've already talked about the team a little bit. Brazil, Croatia. We'll go Massimo, Matt, Dave. Thoughts and score predictions. Let's hear it.
Okay, I'll try to keep this one quick. I think it will be a good game. I think this is kind of a side note, but I still think I'm waiting for the game of the tournament. I don't know about you guys. There's been some good games, but it's still not there yet. I'm hoping maybe this next round. There's a couple of potential for some great games. But yeah, I'm gonna say 2-1 Brazil. I think they'll do it, but I don't think it'll be easy. I don't think extra time, but I think that it will be a very close game. I think Croatia could win it too, or it could go to extra time, but I think Croatia is going to give them a hard time. I don't think physically Brazil is going to be able to match like the grit of Croatia. They're gonna throw it at them pretty good.
No team beside France can attack the way Brazil can attack. I mean, the names speak for themselves, and we knew this coming into the tournament. Again, today they put up 4 goals in the blink of an eye, and I think we all agreed, like, let's not cast judgment after a game against South Korea. Let's see it against a big team. This is that kind of team that they can prove something against. And I agree with you. I'm waiting for that game of the tournament. I'm also interested in one other aspect of this game. We talked about how good Croatia's midfield is. And they've got some other players that are just fantastic that don't really get talked about enough. First of all, Gvardiol is going to be one of the best defenders in the world going forward. He's a hoss. Ivan Perisic shows up for every single major tournament, international or Champions League. He's outstanding. It doesn't get talked about enough. Great goal today. And that's not even what he's typically known for. I think what Croatia is going to be able to do that most teams aren't able to do in this tournament is keep the ball and manage the game at the pace that they want to play it at. Not a lot of teams are really able to do that because they lack the quality in the midfield, or they have good midfielders, but they don't necessarily have a complete midfield. Croatia is going to be able to do that. I'm not sure how Brazil will react to it. I think this game is 1-1 after 90 minutes. Maybe Brazil plays the best. They are the better team. Croatia finds a way to get there, and Brazil wins 2-1. Maybe even 3-1. They kind of pour it on, one of those type of situations.
Dave?
You stole my prediction. You literally stole it. That's I was gonna say it was 2-1 extra time. But
Yeah.
I'll go 2-2, and I'll go Brazil in penalties. Like you said, those guys in the midfield, three of the best passers, ball movers, dribblers, whatever you want to call them, in the world, and those guys have been playing together for a while now. So that's something that they kind of have over Brazil. You know, Vinicius' first World Cup, Richarlison coming in, Rafinha / whoever's going to play in that right. And I still, you know, we've talked about these outside backs for Brazil that happen to be Juventus players that might be the weakness of the team. So they have their vulnerabilities. I think they can concede against this Croatian team. And another thing that I've always seen with this Croatian team is the way they fight and their togetherness. And like those guys all look like they're going to die. They all look like they're playing their last match.
They're
It's a thing of
scared.
beauty. And yeah, and they're going to fight for 90, and I think they'll fight for even the 120. You know, destiny might have Brazil winning them in penalties. Brazil beating them in penalties. I mean, I would die for the Brazil-Argentina matchup.
All right. So as much as I love another Liverpool legend, Dejan Lovren, I don't think that Croatia pulls this one off. Maybe I'm riding the on the high of Brazil, you know, just whooping South Korea's ass, but I love this Brazil team too much to not want them to win the whole thing. They're my pick to win. I think the final will be Brazil-France. I know that's kind of like a lazy pick, but I mean, is that
that's
lazy to
a
say?
good pick.
Yeah. So, I think Brazil wins. I'll say they win in 90, though. I have them winning 2-1. I'll say 2-1. I was going to go 3, but I think Croatia makes it a lot harder than to get 3. Then I'll say 2 for now, yeah. But back to Guardiola, man. Please, God, do not put this man in the Chelsea blue shirt. I will be torn to pieces if that happens. I know
It's
that,
done.
yeah, I can't even
done.
the reality. Dude, he needs to stay away because him and that freaking mask is insane. How is he doing the things he's doing wearing that freaking thing? It's insane. Massimo was talking earlier about the grinta. The grinta of Guardiola and Lovren center back partnership is flowing through this damn team. And as much of a rat as I think Brozovic is, I think he will also die for any team that he's on. And I think he's another big part of that midfield. And like we said, Croatia will make it very hard, but I'll go with Brazil here to pull it off. But we've come to the end of our quarterfinal predictions. We're filming this before the Morocco, Spain, and Portugal, Switzerland games. But boys, I want to talk about something we haven't really touched on yet. We've kind of talked about it, but let's talk most surprising, most disappointing teams and players. And then maybe talk about some underrated ballers that we've seen so far at the tournament. We'll go Dave, Matt, Massimo. Dave, give me your most surprising team.
I got to think about this real quick. Even though they got knocked out today, I might still say Japan. Like they had one of the toughest paths to get to where they were, having to be able to beat Spain and Germany, and just like do it the way they did too. I mean, watching them play was electrifying. The way they fly forward, their counterattack, all those guys playing together. I don't really know who else would shock me as much as they did because, you know, a lot of us had Serbia as a dark horse, which is why I'm not necessarily going to say the most disappointing because they weren't like a big favorite or anything. I think I would say Japan.
All right, Matt.
I would totally agree. And if anything, I was going to go with Switzerland because who else is a good like surprise team? Korea, that was really cool. The game that they had and the fact that they were able to get into the knockout stage. But I mean, it's got to be the same answer as Dave. I think Japan, the way that they were playing through the lines today and the way that they played really high quality attacking football, I didn't see that at all. So I'll give it to them. They were awesome.
gonna be boring, and but I have to agree. I think like if you
Who
if
else?
you watch the games, like it was Japan. It was Japan. Like they had a tactical game plan in what I thought was gonna be the hardest group. I mean, you could put Germany as like very disappointing, even though I don't know. It just didn't seem like it was in the cards for them to do much. But I did have them getting out of the group with Spain. But yeah, after those two games, the Germany game and the Spain game, I was sad to see them go out today. But yeah, they played really well. They really impressed me, and tactically too. Like they had a game plan, which
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes the small teams like their game plan is hope, but that Japanese team had a plan.
Shout out to the Blue Lock Project, man.
Yeah, Blue Lock Project, man.
But for the sake of argument, I will say, a little bias, of course, but Morocco, man.
Okay,
Morocco,
you're right.
their only goal conceded of the whole tournament was an own goal. Was a bullshit deflection own goal. They had Croatia, Belgium, and Canada in their group. Like Dave said before, many saying to pick them fourth, but I don't necessarily disagree with y'all. Japan beat Spain, they beat Germany, and they took Croatia to penalties. How insane is that? That's pretty freaking cool. I love to see Germany in the mud. The way Dave views England is how I view Germany. There is way too many ops on that Germany national team for me. Ilkay Gundogan has ruined so many Premier League seasons for me. Vincent Kompany's screamer against Leicester City. I know he's not German, but I just thought about Manchester City for a second. But yeah,
Little trauma. It's okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
low
little
trauma,
PTSD
low
there.
PTSD in there. I start getting friggin' flashy. But nah, dude, what an insane tournament by Japan. They have nothing to be ashamed of, man. Congrats to those boys. But I'll start off by switching it off to most disappointing, and I have two. And first one I'm gonna go with is Uruguay, man. That was poor. That was poor from those boys. I thought they would be a lot better. I had them coming out the group. I mean, shout out my boy Darwizzi, but it wasn't happening for him. It wasn't happening for anybody. I mean, we all know how good Fede Valverde is, and we've talked about it. Like, he's an insane player. I think he's a top 3 midfielder in the world right now. But yeah, it just didn't happen for any of those boys. They did manage to bag 2 and win their last game, but just wasn't enough. But in those first 2, especially against
Terrible.
Ghana, I think they were poor, man. They were very poor. And my second team, I know we said like they can't really be a disappointing team because like not really everyone was like putting some stock in them. But Serbia, man, I had Serbia getting out the group, and to finish that group with, I know it's a tough one, but with 1 point is very disappointing to me. They have so much quality: Kostic, Vlahovic, Mitrovic. Who else? Milenkovic had a good tournament. That young guy, Pavlovic, I think is pretty good as well. They have a lot of quality, and to finish that group with 1 point, to me, was really disappointed. I don't know. How do you guys feel?
Defensively, Serbia wasn't ready for this tournament, right? And Pavlovic was great. He was the bright spot at the back for them, but just as a team, it was way too easy to score against them. They to me, they're definitely the disappointment of the tournament. Milinkovic Savic, and I'd say this: Milinkovic Savic had to play out of position in the first couple of games. I can understand that. He moved back to his natural position for the third group stage game, and it just didn't really look the same. I questioned the fitness of a lot of the Serbian players. We know Vlahovic was coming in with an injury. We know Kostic picked up an injury. But it just seemed like they were pretty gassed, especially in that second half of that final group stage game. I think that could have had something to do with it. I also want to give a shout to Denmark as a disappointing team. Denmark made the semifinals in the European Championship, and they obviously didn't make the knockout stage. But I think either of those two teams, we would probably expected a little bit more from them.
They didn't not just not make the knockout stages. Denmark literally only scored 1 goal whole tournament and only had a point, didn't win any games. So very disappointing from them, especially aside, like you said, coming off that semifinal appearance in the Euros. Very disappointing for them as well. I think Massimo and Davis doing. Oh no, Massimo, did you go already?
No, I'm gonna say Serbia too. They were my dark horse team, like overall for the tournament. I think on paper they had a very good team. I thought they were gonna really make some noise, especially in that group they were in. Uruguay too, I thought they would be a little more impressive. I thought that was like a nice chance for Darwin to kind of like shine with the not as much pressure as there was at the beginning of the Liverpool season. I think he could have fit better. I was very unimpressed with him. I know, like, I'm sure you agree, Yanni, he just didn't play his best. Like, the same thing, though. But there was some weird stuff that happened with them, too. I don't know their manager well, so I can't really criticize him. But there was a situation where he took off Cavani and Darwin. I don't know. There was some weird stuff. I expected a lot more from that team. They have a nice team.
Yeah, brother brought on Maxi Gomez. Like, what are you doing? No, Darwin definitely didn't play his best. I'll say that personally. Like, I don't think he played great. He had moments. I remember when he beat I don't know how to. Okay, I know it's Kim something. All right, the Napoli guy. What's his name?
Kim Min-jae.
Kim
Min-jae, yeah. He beat him off the ball, and like Kim Min-jae fell down, and like he went all the way down the wing, tried to play across it, and got deflected out. And I was like, all right, listen, he's put on the pace. I like it. Darwin down the wing, he's sneakily fast. He's actually pretty good down the wing. And then he had a shot, maybe it was the last game or it was the Portugal game, where it skidded the post, I think, on a long distance outside the box. And I was like, all right, he's getting the chances, but just didn't fall for not just himself, but that whole Uruguay team.
They missed a lot of chances. They did not finish their dinner the whole tournament.
Yeah. And as a renowned Luis Suarez hater, I do like that. I was very conflicted because I've been a Uruguay hater for a long time because of Suarez, but now I have Darwizzi, so like it's kind of hard to pick.
You're a Suarez hater as a Liverpool fan?
Oh yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Big time.
The greatest Liverpool player of all time?
No, that's a stretch. That is a stretch.
It's also a potential racist.
Yeah.
Throwing that out there.
That's true.
I'll say right now that this is a whole different podcast, but I think Salah is better than Suarez all time. I don't think that's a crazy take.
In the Premier League,
in the like
all time,
in their prime, like who was better?
I'll pick Salah 50-goal season over Suarez any day.
I think I have to take Suarez, and I love Salah. That's my Roma guy, but I think in his prime, I have to take Luis Suarez.
Luis Suarez was unplayable on his day, but
yeah, that's what I mean.
I love Salah too, and I also, one big thing for me, none of my friends watch Serie A, and I told them, I have a lot of friends that are Liverpool fans too. I told them as soon as Salah came, I'm like, trust me, this guy's played for 2 Italian clubs and he's killed it at every single level. He'll be great. Exceeds expectations, and I thought his peak was obviously in his first season, and he was a monster. Do you disagree with that? He scored 40 goals. He never even came close to the same level again.
Listen, I'll say right now, let me go double check the stats as I'm doing
last season, big first half.
I mean, I think that he's been an incredible player regardless. I think I remember the one season wonder takes used to get me so heated, but obviously he's eclipsed that now. Let me go stats by season here, because last season, I don't know if you guys remember, he was on a period like where he was on a madness. Remember that
first half,
back to back where he scored against Watford and City, those wonder goals. I was like, this guy is on madness right now. And with Salah, reason why I take him over Suarez in the Liverpool shirt, I mean, you look at the trophies won, it's really not that hard. He's an insane guy. Obviously, way better team around him. I'll say that right now. I'm not a delusional fan. I know what I'm talking about in terms of Liverpool. But I just think that you put Suarez and Salah in this team right now, I like my Egyptian king better, man. And that might be a little bit of hater coming out of me, but that's just my pick. I don't know.
Different players in different systems too, though. Let's
totally.
Let's remember that too. Like Suarez thrive in a system with Neymar and Messi. I mean, that front three is as good as anything we've ever seen. But his numbers, wasn't he still scoring 40 a year? With Messi also scoring 40 a year? With Neymar also scoring
9 goals in a season for Barcelona.
Suarez was competing to even pre-Barcelona with prime Messi and prime Ronaldo, and there was argument that he was just as good. And I don't even like the guy that much.
I hate him. I hate him so much.
But I can't deny that, like, what I saw with my own eyes. You know what I mean?
Let's not get it twisted. He's one of the greatest strikers of all time. I hate the guy, but map out his career, right? He was nasty at Ajax. He came to Liverpool, showed signs that he was going to become a really, really great player pretty early. All came together for him in that season that Liverpool probably should have won the Premier League. Best Premier League season that I can ever remember, hands down. Even if Haaland keeps going on this pace. I mean, Go back and watch the tape speaks for itself. The quality of the goals he was scoring, he was unbelievable. And keep in mind, he was a complete striker too. It wasn't just a poacher. Then he goes to Barcelona.
The team around him was not that great.
No, not at all. He goes to Barcelona the next year and goes to play for a truly great team, wins the treble, scores in the final. Next season gets 59 goals. He probably was the best player in the world that season. Then, by the way, final piece, goes to Atletico Madrid, wins La Liga. Pretty much stamped him ahead of pretty much any striker of that generation, including Lewandowski for me.
So you guys are all taking Suarez over Aguero. That's a big debate in Premier League talk.
Oh yeah,
prime.
I think it's a shame that Aguero got hurt as much as he did too, because maybe we'd have a different conversation about it. But Suarez has been doing it for so long, it's like it's hard to kind of dispute his numbers and his output, and like Matt said, quality of the goals and his ability to be a complete striker. Like some great passes as well.
Yeah, the passing he was an incredible passer.
So if I'm looking at Salah stats right now, 2-time African Footballer of the Year, that's pretty good. I know he's obviously made the World Cup with Egypt. He's had a Champions League, a Premier League, 3 Champions League finals appearances. Last year, he had 31 goals and 16 assists. I guess you can – I need to look at Suarez's assist stats. I don't remember his assists as a striker for Liverpool. But I think Salah is the more complete playmaker. I don't know if that's like a big debate point though.
It's just a different position. You know what I mean? Like, how do you compare somebody that plays in a pretty forward position as a right winger, right,
Exactly.
versus a pure striker?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like no one could ever say Suarez wasn't a complete player. He was one of the most complete strikers I've ever seen. At the same time, we all know Mo Salah is a very complete forward.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just sometimes, I think about what could have been. I know this is kind of a different route, but what could have been if Daniel Sturridge never got hurt, man? Oh my God.
He was good.
I had the Sturridge kit. Oh man, I was a big Sturridge guy. But no, Suarez and Salah is a big debate on Liverpool Twitter. I don't know if you guys know this, but that's why I wanted to talk about it a little bit. But let's move on to our next topic here. Underrated ballers at the tournament. I've seen a couple guys that have caught my eye. One was even though they didn't do well, someone who got signed today actually by Watford Football Club. His name is Ibrahima Kone, I think. Am I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought he was great for Canada in the limited minutes that he came on. If you watch back the Belgium and Croatia game, when they put on Yeremi Doku, he changed the game. I don't know why it took Roberto Martinez's bald ass to do that. So in the third match, didn't even play first 2 matches. That pissed me off. I think Doku is an incredible player. Go to a club like Roma or Fiorentina for Doku, and I think he bags 15 easy.
I got enough wingers that don't score right now on my team.
Prayers up for my boy Jenny. Hopefully he gets healthy soon. But who were some underrated ballers that you guys saw?
I'm gonna go Kudus. If I'm saying that right. I said his name before a tournament because Maldini has been watching him. Now I regret bringing him up because we have no chance of signing him after what he did. It's just, that kind of gets thrown out the window. It's one of those things where you get excited that a player's linked with your club, but when you're Milan and you can't afford expensive transfers, as soon as he plays well at a big tournament, that's kind of done. But I think he was incredible. He was everywhere, crazy range, great on the ball, and was like huge for Ghana. And another guy, I don't even know if it's fair to say he's underrated anymore, but I still don't hear his name when you think of like the best youngsters in the world. Like when you hear Pedri, you probably hear Pedri first. And around Prem Talk, I hear Foden first, but still Musiala was out of this world good. Like that guy was the entire. No, it's not saying much because Germany was so poor, but he was everything they had. The way he could take on 5 guys at once and still almost score. I mean, they were relying on a 20-year-old to kind of just like, take the ball and do something. That seemed like to be Germany's plan, and he almost did on multiple occasions, like deliver the goal of the tournament. So, yeah, I would say those 2 guys mostly.
I think you pretty much nailed it. I was going to say Kudus. So I can't really pick out who's been, surprise ballers. You know what? I'll give you one. I don't think a lot of people thought Amrabat was going to ball out for Morocco the way he has. He's been awesome. Let's let's see. Who else? Who else was like actually
I can help you out.
surprised? I'll even go another one that I mentioned earlier. I thought Pavlovic for Serbia really held it down. It could have been a lot more ugly if he didn't play as well as he did at the back for them.
Massimo?
I just want to throw up my notes that I'm not copying. I did write Kudus down because I have to. I mean, that kid was incredible. Like, he's gonna go to a big team, and he clearly has the talent. I'm trying to think of. I'll touch on one I said earlier too. I did like Pavlovic, like Matt said. I think he's very good for how young he is. Mbolo's been very good for Switzerland. And it's not underrated in the sense that he's young and up and coming, but I think I haven't really heard anything about how well Griezmann has played, like in the media. Griezmann, that's like a French Renaissance. Like, he looks incredible. He's firing on all cylinders. I would not. He's the amount of chances he's created for them. Like, he's balling for France for sure. So I'll put him just because I didn't expect it.
These boys are all witnesses to the YSN early take in this tournament where I said Griezmann is the glue. This guy does everything for this team. He's tracking back. He's diving into tackles. He's playing the through balls perfectly. Love Grisou. But my underrated baller, I think Kudus is like the obvious pick. But if you're going with another one, I'm a pretty avid U.S. men's national team hater. I think I am. Yunus Musa, what a player. Has been kind of not really talked about that much under Gattuso at Valencia, but he comes into this tournament and he balls. He delivers. He was dribbling through guys, making key passes. That midfield three of Adams, Musa, and McKinney will definitely be in tournaments for a long time for this U.S. men's national team. And we're going to see if Berhalter's still there, but would definitely love to see those boys again in 2026. Very impressed by U.S., honestly. I am. Despite the ability to lose the idea of man marking at some points in their defense, I think that they still had a good run. Credit to Pulisic for giving up his balls for America. Shout out to him. And then my guy, another FIFA career mode legend, Tim Weah, coming up big on a couple of games. But yeah, Musa, huge player, and I think a big move is up in his future pretty soon.
I agree. He was awesome for the U.S. men's national team, and you're totally right. It's pretty exciting. I wish I could say I could so easily jump on the U.S. men's national team bandwagon. I mentioned earlier I got into soccer because my grandfather was obviously born in Italy, played soccer, done in Italy, became a coach in the United States. I had family that was soccer coaches, and I just have an affinity for the Italian national team. That's what I grew up watching. That's what got me to love you. You actually said it, Massimo. That's exactly how I felt. I watched the 2006 World Cup and I never looked back. It was just so exciting to watch such great, unbelievable players, particularly getting to see so many great teams go head to head. So I never really had the kind of affinity for the United States national team. Looking at it pretty from an unbiased perspective, it's a great thing for them that midfield gets to play so many years together and grow together and then go into the 2026 World Cup, hopefully with Jesse Marsh as their coach. And they've already got some tournament experience and get a home tournament. So should be interesting at the next World Cup for them. They'll have a chance to make a fun run.
I had a question on the U.S. team, kind of for you guys. Do you guys think Berhalter stays? Like, I think we're in a tough position because my personal opinion is that he's not good enough and he didn't do enough this tournament to convince me that he's the guy for the future, especially leaving out guys like Aronson and Reyna, which I can go on for a very long time about why that's wrong. And I'm not alone in thinking that. It's pretty obvious. I think those are two out of maybe our top 5 most talented players, maybe top 3 even. The problem with that is, like, I think he kind of achieved the goal to get out of the group. So it's like, do you fire the coach for achieving the goal, but not, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Dave,
it's tough.
I think this hits close home to you. Not the same type of skill level or pedigree, but it's kind of like a Pioli situation. Pioli wins a Scudetto, and it's like, I mean, what are we going to fire the Scudetto winning manager? We're stuck. We're stuck with him for a little bit, and if he produces well again, so be it. why would the U.S. fire their coach after reaching the round of 16? I mean, if they got out of the group stage, then they would have probable cause. But I think it's kind of crazy to let him go, especially after this tournament. Give him another run, CONCACAF, Gold Cup, all that stuff, and we'll see how he does there. But definitely don't think that he should be. Well, he will be fired. I think he's made a couple wrong decisions, and I think Jesse Marsh obviously would be the way better pick. But yeah, I think he stays for now.
Did they have a good game in the tournament? I'm sorry, Massimo. Go ahead.
I kind of agree. I think like you can't fire him just because like the game he lost was the Netherlands, and it was more down to individual mistakes as in terms of like why the game crumbled. Overall, I don't understand his tactics at all because I don't really like see it. Do you know what I mean?
What are his tactics?
Yeah. So in terms of like I think my biggest criticism of him is obviously the Aronson Reina thing. I don't understand that, and his substitutions don't make sense. And I think the stupidest thing to happen in this entire tournament on paper was changing your striker, your number 9, 3 different times in the span of 4 games. That doesn't make any sense at all. Like even unless somebody is injured, like just don't do that. Like,
why don't you try Weah at the 9? Weah was too good to take out, and Aronson's better than Ferreira.
Yeah,
brother started
Why
a
you start-
Dallas FC player, bro. But the FC
the first World Cup game in the knockout stage game, and he was the worst player on the pitch probably.
Haji Wright over Gio Reyna and Aronson is insanity.
don't even mention Shaq Moore.
Oh
Oh.
my god.
I never want to hear that name again.
I don't
That
want to
was
see
terrible.
guys like Sargent or Moore playing for the U.S. again.
Yeah.
Like
Sargent is so overrated. It pains
I
me.
can't stand it.
The way these
He's nothing.
U.S. men's national team kids talk about Josh Sargent, it's like he's the second coming of like freaking, I don't know, Milik. It's like, bro.
Let me ask. Just ask this one question when it comes to the U.S. men's national team. Why should they fire Berhalter? Did they play a single good game at the World Cup? A single complete good game at the World Cup?
If it wasn't,
I'm sorry, 0-0 versus England
yeah,
isn't going to cut it. Did they play a good game at the World Cup?
if it wasn't for Walker Zimmerman deciding to chop Gareth Bale in half, I think they would have played a great game against Wales.
A great 1-0 though, 1-0, and I don't know, a couple chances that they created.
I mean, when I say great game, it's like it's 3 points at a World Cup. I mean, that's 3 points is 3 points. But I mean, yeah, you're right. Did they really play a great game? I don't think so.
Wales and Iran, it was there for the taking for a 2-0 decisive result. They couldn't get that.
But you can say that, to be fair, you can say that about a couple teams at this tournament that haven't really played a great game. I mean, let's be honest, before today, were we all really convinced by any of Brazil's performances?
I only am because of the talent. I feel like that talent is way, way, way too much to disregard. I know
Brazil looked comfortable.
Yeah, they look comfortable.
You know what I mean?
I think Switzerland outplayed them though in that game. And it's like obviously now, I mean, I've had them picking to win the tournament since before it started, but there's a couple teams that haven't really had a great game and they still made it to the knockouts. So I wouldn't put that all on that, but we'll see.
I think it's hard too because with a tournament, I just disagree with a lot of like the national team managers. I think so many people like managers, it's like they have too big of an ego. Like you're managing a tournament, you need to play your most informed guys. Sometimes I think that comes over like tactics a little bit, especially if you're a small team like the US. Like we don't if you can't be throwing in MLS players to fill your like tactical void, like just play Aronson and Gio Reyna because both of them can play right wing. You know what I mean? Like that, it's not even an excuse for him. But in terms of firing him, I don't think you can fire him. I agree with Matt. Like none of the performances were extremely convincing. I was happy with some of them in the grand scheme of things, but I think you're the manager of an international team to get far in a tournament, and he got out of an easy group, I think, but he did get out of the group. I don't know. It's going to depend on whatever the next tournament it is, CONCACAF or whatever. But if he goofs it there, he's got to go.
Dave?
Also, it should depend on Jesse Marsh's availability because regardless, if he's going to come, make it happen. Like
Dave?
I don't know. I'm not any more hopeful about the U.S. than I was entering the tournament. I think that's kind of what it boils down to. It's like we did what I thought we're gonna do, but there's not like a giant sense of like Does anyone fear the U.S.? Not that not that they should, but like I think you guys touched upon it. Like we still don't have an identity, and a lot of it was like individual skill. Like our best chance against England was a Pulisic almost banger, right? Like I don't see it, and I'm still fearful of the defensive situation. I think this is a different discussion again, but Dest and Robinson might function better as wing backs, but in order to do that, you need three good center backs, and I don't think we have three good center backs. So it'll be interesting to see how the next couple of years go. But I just want a solid showing for, when the World Cup is here.
Yeah. All right, boys. We got 3.5 minutes. Let's end it on this one last question. All of you guys connected to Italy, deep roots. Obviously, they're not here. What does this team need to do to get back on track and first of all, get to a knockout stage game since the 2006 final?
That's a big question for 3 minutes, Yanni. I'm sure we all could go an hour each.
Hire Allegri.
Hire
Bring in
Allegri.
Allegri. No, I'm kidding.
In your best like 2-sentence answer, I guess.
Okay. Mancini needs to play young players. Otherwise, it's never gonna move forward. Like it's time to let go of some of these other guys. I don't care if you won the Euro Cup, you have to play young players. These guys need experience. Worst case, we don't qualify for the World Cup again, and everybody has more experience under their belt. You can't keep playing these same players. I never want to see Ciro Immobile in an Italy jersey ever again. Next.
Yeah. Just to elaborate, Berardi, Acerbi, Bonucci,
Belotti.
Belotti, these guys have to be done. We have the talent to replace them. Scamacca has to start playing all the time. Raspadori has to start playing all the time. Guys like Berardi aren't going anywhere. They aren't going to improve their levels. We don't owe them any debt of gratitude for the way that he played in the Euros. He was just a space filler for Italy when Chiesa needed rest. Actually, it was amazing that it took a while for Mancini to play him over Chiesa, and that should probably tell you something. But either way, Bastoni, Scalvini, these guys need to start playing. There's good young attacking talent, defensive talent, midfield talent. Midfield talent's crazy for Italy right now. We need to start exploiting this, or we're going to pay for it in 6 years, 4 years, whatever it might be, when those guys could have gotten some great experience and would be vets in major tournaments.
Dave?
Back-to-back Euros, I think, honestly. I'm not even worried about 2026. We're going to win the Euros in 2024.
We're going to beat France. We're going to beat France in the Euros.
Everyone clip this. If that happens, we'll remember the day on the Y Extension channel that these boys said this. My take on this before we end the show. Start more as I can. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a great video. Thank you, boys, for tuning in. Side note, I've guaranteed every Moise Ken goal before it's happened this season.
Keep it going, baby. Keep it going.
To this. Moise Ken, 20 goals in all comps. You heard it first.
Absolutely.
Like I said, boys, thank you guys so much. This will happen again. We'll talk City out before the season ends. Jose Mourinho masterclass, Roma first.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's a Rome fan. Thank you, Yanni.
All right, boys.
All right, thanks, guys. See you.